Colby Covington
impressed me.
might have the most outrageous output in the sport.
I want people to hate me. That's a business model. No one cares about you. You're boring, man.
Jesus Christ.
Bad, dude. I saw you engaged and you look like shit, man.
He's done an amazing job of getting people to dismiss him because they think he's a piece of shit.
Some fighters win with knockout power, some with slick submissions, and then there's Colby Covington, a man who didn't need either to dominate. Instead, he weaponized the one thing no opponent could take from him: endless cardio. He didn't just fight you, he drowned you. Minute after minute, round after round, until you broke. But this isn't just the story of a gas tank that never ran empty. It's the story of how a fighter on the brink of being cut from the UFC turned himself into one of the most hated and most relentless athletes in MMA history. This is the story of the fighter who never got tired. Colby Covington was born on February 22nd, 1988 in Clovis, California. But he didn't grow up in California for long. His family moved to Springfield, Oregon when he was just 8 years old. And it was in Oregon where Covington would discover the sport that shaped his life: wrestling. He was a natural competitor, and his work ethic quickly stood out. At Thurston High School, Colby became a state champion and earned recognition as one of the most promising wrestlers in the state. But high school success wasn't enough. He wanted more. He attended Iowa Central Community College, the same school that once hosted John Jones and Cain Velasquez, and there, he became a JUCO national champion in 2007. From there, Covington transferred to Oregon State University, where he became a two-time All-American and three-time Pac-10 Conference champion. Wrestling wasn't just a sport for Colby, it was an identity, and it was also the foundation for the endless cardio that would later make him famous. After college, Colby had a decision to make. He could try for the Olympics, like many wrestlers, or he could take a chance on MMA. At the time, MMA wasn't a guaranteed career path, but the UFC was growing fast, and wrestlers were dominating the sport. Covington joined American Top Team, ATT, in Florida, one of the most elite MMA gyms in the world. Training alongside champions like Robbie Lawler, Joanna Jędrzejczyk, and Junior Dos Santos, Colby sharpened his striking while keeping his wrestling as his main weapon. He went undefeated in his first 5 professional fights, earning a call-up to the UFC in 2014. His debut? A dominant third-round TKO over Anying Wang. And just like that, Colby Covington had arrived. But back then, he was quiet, respectful, almost invisible in the UFC's crowded welterweight division. That would soon change. Covington kept winning fights, but his style, wrestling heavy, grinding, decision-based, wasn't winning over fans. By 2017, the UFC had decided not to renew his contract after his upcoming fight in Brazil against Demian Maia. In Colby's own words, "They were going to cut me, win or lose." So I decided I was going to make myself impossible to ignore. After dominating Maia in his own backyard, Colby grabbed the mic in Sao Paulo and delivered one of the most infamous post-fight interviews in UFC history.
"No, Brazil, you're a dog! All you filthy animals suck!"
Calling the crowd a bunch of filthy animals. Overnight, he went from anonymous wrestler to MMA's most hated villain. And as much as fans claimed to hate it, they couldn't stop talking about him. Colby had found his ticket to staying in the UFC. Chaos sells. From that moment on, Colby Covington became Colby Chaos Covington. He started showing up to interviews wearing "Make America Great Again" hats, openly supporting Donald Trump, something that split fans right down the middle. He insulted opponents, mocked entire countries, and pushed the line every chance he got. To his critics, it was cringeworthy. To his supporters, it was hilarious. But either way, people were watching and paying. Behind all the trash talk, though, was still the same relentless fighter in the gym, grinding harder than anyone. Covington's cardio became his signature weapon, something his teammates described as inhuman. Even in training, he would spar for 5 rounds, then go run sprints, then hit the weights. He didn't just want to outfight opponents, he wanted to drown them. In June 2018, Covington faced former lightweight champion Rafael dos Anjos for the interim welterweight title. It was a high-stakes fight, his biggest platform yet. From the opening bell, Colby smothered RDA with constant pressure, landing takedowns and throwing a record-breaking pace of strikes. By the end of 5 rounds, the judges had seen enough. Colby Covington was the UFC interim welterweight champion. He had proved his style could win belts, not just headlines. But the celebrations didn't last long. A nasal surgery kept him from unifying the title against Tyron Woodley, and the UFC stripped him of the interim belt. To Colby, it was just more fuel for the fire. Colby's list of enemies grew longer every year. He clashed with Tyron Woodley, Jorge Masvidal, and especially Kamaru Usman, a rivalry that became one of the most intense in UFC history. In December 2019, Covington challenged Usman for the undisputed welterweight title. For nearly 5 rounds, it was an all-out war, with both men landing bombs and refusing to slow down. But late in the 5th, Usman broke Colby's jaw and finished the fight. It was the first time fans had seen Covington truly broken. Yet even then, he didn't stop fighting until the referee pulled Usman off him. 2 years later, they met again. The result? Another decision loss for Colby, but another reminder that no matter how much punishment he took, he never quit. Colby Covington's fighting style isn't about one-punch knockouts. It's about weaponizing pace, forcing opponents into a fight they can't win. In many of his UFC fights, he has landed over 500 total strikes, numbers that most fighters couldn't dream of maintaining. He has one of the highest average strike outputs per minute in UFC history. And his wrestling? Over 60 takedowns landed in the UFC, constantly chaining attempts until something sticks. By the 3rd round, opponents aren't just tired, they're broken. It's why so many fighters call him the most annoying opponent to fight, because you can't rest for a second. One of Colby's most personal rivalries was with his former best friend and teammate, Jorge Masvidal. The two lived together, trained together, and even cornered each other's fights. But as Colby's trash talk persona grew, so did tensions between them. The friendship eventually exploded into public insults, with Masvidal calling him a snake, and Colby branding Jorge as Street Judas. In March 2022, they finally met in the octagon at UFC 272. Colby dominated the fight from start to finish, smothering Masvidal with his trademark pace and winning a unanimous decision. But the feud didn't end there. Weeks later, Masvidal allegedly attacked Colby outside a Miami restaurant, leading to legal charges. It was chaos in real life, fitting for the man who lives by it. What makes Covington an enduring figure in MMA history isn't flashy highlight reels or belts, it's his unwavering work ethic. When others slow down, he speeds up. When opponents wilt, he rallies. Colby has faced champions, wrestlers, knockout artists, and pressure specialists. Jorge Masvidal clashed with him for the BMF title. Gilbert Burns faced him. Once hefty fighters face the whiplash pace Covington doesn't bring. That pace brings them to their limit. In an era predicated on dynamic athleticism, Covington proved that grit and pressure can be just as destructive as a knockout punch. Off camera, he's a polarizing figure, combating doping allegations, UFC split decisions, and media wars with an unapologetic brand personality. Affectionate to millions, despised by others, the contrast only amplifies his legend. As of mid-2025, Covington is training for a bold comeback fight, rumored to slot into a championship rematch or high-profile contender bout. At 37, he's still young by welterweight standards. With a sharpened wrestling base, honed niche in cardio mechanics, and a sharpened business streak, he has one more mission: to get UFC gold and prove that persistence, not flash, gets it done. Colby Covington may never earn universal love, but love him or hate him, he changed the narrative of what winning in MMA looks like. He weaponized pressure, turned endurance into dominance, and built a lasting legacy rooted in heart. In the cage, he never stopped moving forward, and that may be the fiercest weapon of all. If you liked this video, then click on the next one showing on the screen.